Welcome back to Next Stage Podcast, everybody. We got Alan in the studio today. Lupke, is it pronounced?
Lupke.
Lupke, sorry.
Yeah.
See, I already messed up. I already screwed up. The host already messed up. Scratch the show.
No, it's a weird name. That's how it's said in American. It's actually a German last name.
Really?
Lupke is what it's supposed to be, but used to have an umlaut on the U and everything, and they took that off when my grandfather came here. So.
Oh, interesting. My last name was Luongo, and then they changed it to Long, so.
Yeah, there you go.
Similar story. But yeah, dude, I first met you from like the American Kitchen open mics that Jesse was running. And we used to talk about like obscure metal bands and stuff like that. And then I found out that you play. You got the band Sullust that's going on now. So we just wanted to have you on and talk about, all that kind of stuff. But I guess we'll maybe, start about like, how did you get involved in music? Like what made you want to play? Like why did you start with guitar?
Yeah. Or no, that's not sure. I played saxophone first.
Yeah?
Just something I was always into. I mean, that was like 6th grade band, rocking saxophone. I only did that till I think 7th or 8th. Like, from like 4th grade to like 7th grade. And I mean, that was dope too. It was cool, totally different thing, And then, I don't know, I listened to like everything. Well, first like total thrash metal and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I was in like 6th grade. My older brother was like this totally into death metal. So he got me into all that kind of stuff, and I don't know, I think it was actually the first time I heard the song Arise by Sepultura, and I was like, yeah, I want to be able to do that.
Right.
Started out, honestly, like I was super into Nirvana too, and I was like huge into Nirvana when I was like,
who wasn't?
I loved them. Yeah, right. But yeah, had, what did I have? It was like an old Squire Strat, first guitar.
Classic.
Yeah, and just constantly practicing, and just kind of went from there.
What grabbed you about that kind of music? Because we were talking before about how like metal is sometimes a hard genre to break into. Like, what grabbed you about it when you were younger that made you want to like dive into that world?
I think it's just really like when you hear like the edge that music has to it, just that like it makes you want to get up and do something. It's not the kind of music you're just gonna like sit around and do nothing while you listen to it. Like, I was also like super into skateboarding when I was younger, so like. Yeah, dude, listening to metal and skateboarding, like,
yeah,
it's perfect. But yeah, no, just really that fast, like, attacking nature to the music. Like, I don't know, it just grabbed me right away. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard that song Arise, but it's like super quick thrash metal song.
Now, was that when they had their original lead singer, or was that when Max was singing? Because I know that, didn't they have a singer at first?
No, it was always Max. But yeah, but then he left.
Okay.
Went and did some stuff that I'm not really into, but
okay.
Yeah, like Soulfly and all that. But yeah, dude, yeah, just that kind of riff, like thrash metal, especially. Like I love that. I still love it. I listen to it all the time.
Yeah, I agree with you that like music that makes you want to do something different. I've always found that interesting because in my mind, like music is kind of this weird form of magic to where it can be silent in a room and a band sets up and they put their instruments and all of a sudden they start doing something that makes people behave differently. And like metal is like a very, extreme example of that where people just go nuts. And I love that feeling.
Oh yeah, dude. It's fun, man. Like you see some of the bands, I don't know, like this one band, Municipal Waste, we listen to. Those dudes are just total party thrash. Yeah, I mean, I've seen them one time. They threw a trampoline out in the middle of the pit, and kids are just launching off of it. And like, people always bring like boogie boards to their shows, and they're just like crowd surfing on boogie boards.
Yeah, it brings crowd surfing to a whole new level.
Yeah, right, dude. That kind of stuff is just fun. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and I don't know, metal's weird because some of those dudes, I think, take it a little too seriously. Like, it's more about shock value.
Yeah.
Than anything with that stuff, but.
That's the strange thing about the genre is that it has a bit of that like WWF wrestling. Shtick going on with it, but then there's also some very like primal connection to it that's like it can be both things, and some bands toe one line or the other, but there's something like about the human condition that like wants that, and it's a weird thing, and maybe you'll agree or maybe not, but like I find that sometimes the friends that I know who are into the most like extreme hardcore metal are like the most like chill people.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, that's like it's kind of how it is. Like I guess you get it out in that way. I wouldn't say it's cathartic. That's not really the right word, but it's like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like that aggression and everything else comes out in the music that you play. You know what I mean? And like just something that's like crushing and heavy. There's something about that. And not only that, like to me, it just evokes something from me, Like you just hear that and you're like, ooh.
Yeah. I'll be honest, it calms me down at work. Like if I'm having like a day that's like stressful, I put my headphones on and put on some like extreme grindcore. It like for some reason like mellows me out. I don't know why. Is that like, am I a psycho?
No, I don't think so. I'd say it's the same thing, man. Like I don't get pissed when I listen to it. You know, like you do. Unfortunately, that is a byproduct of it, and I'd say those are just people that are into it for the wrong reason. But
you gotta have bad actors in anything, you know.
Right.
Some people want to go into a mosh pit because they want to hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing bothers me more than when you're in a pit and someone's pushing people from the back who are not in the pit. Like that's the most dangerous thing you can do.
Yeah, no, that
so you
kind
can
of thing I
whiplash
hate.
like that and like crack your head, you know. It's like if you're not in it, don't stand outside pushing people.
No, I know that part of it I've never liked. I mean, it's honestly I don't even get into the pit at all anymore. I'll just say, I just stand off to the side. It's like I'm good. I've been hit in the face plenty of times.
You know what that's like?
Yeah, it's like I want to. The only thing you got to pay attention. That's the only thing. You can't just sit there and watch the band because somebody could come flying. You know.
But there's like a strange etiquette in a mosh pit where like if you're in there for the right reasons, like people like take care of each other. And I've seen someone falls down, everyone back up, help them up.
Yeah,
and
you
it's
help
like,
them up. That's
Yeah, you want to be in there for the right reasons, but there's something about like getting that energy out. Like what is that about humans that we want to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's just music in general. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that aggressive kind of thing is different. But I mean, you see it anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you see people moshing at like jam band shows. Like,
yeah. Really?
Yeah, I think I've seen that before. not like that. Yeah, it's not
right. People get pushing around or whatever.
Yeah, but there's like different things to it. There's like with thrash, it's more like the circle pit and like kind of more of like the punk rock mentality. Or as some other things, yeah, it's not like that. It's like you do unfortunately have those people that are just trying to hurt somebody, and thankfully they usually get thrown out.
Yeah,
like
it's like a strange kind of like lawlessness / like code that goes along with that. That I don't know. I always liked that. Like being involved in that circumstance. I like getting that aggression out.
Yeah.
And it's like a safe way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, just the music itself rips. So.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's like, it's weird with metal. There's so many like genres and subgenres and things. I guess maybe with maybe like hip hop has a lot of that, but there seems to be like all these little like nuanced, genres. And it's like, who started that?
Yeah, that part of it gets a little bit ridiculous. And then you have like people arguing over, was it this band who started playing that way? Like, was it Slayer who was doing this, or was it Creator, the band from Germany? Like, who was and then you get into like, there's death metal, there's thrash metal, there's black metal, there's blackened death metal. It gets a little ridiculous if you ask me. But or even like, I don't know, people say all the time like what we play. I've heard people be like, that's not metal what you guys play, because it's not like the more stereotypical kind. It's like, I don't know, I guess you could call it post-hardcore, but that's where that gets a little dumb after a while, in my opinion.
What do you consider Sullust? Because I've heard some bands referred to as like post-doom, and like kind of fits a little bit of what you guys do, but you're kind of, I don't know, there's a lot of melodic stuff going on in there. It's almost like, I felt like in listening to, do you call it, is it an EP? Is it an album that's just up on Spotify?
Yeah, it's just an album.
Yeah.
I guess you could call it an EP. I mean, it's 6 songs, but I think it's like 35-40 minutes. So it's like,
what's the name of it again? I forget right now.
It's called Patience is Resistance.
Patience is Resistance. So that's on Spotify. People can check that out. But I got the sense that it's kind of like taking like riff rock, like that, like when people would play on single strings, and like putting it like on power chords and a little bit like stretched out, so then there's like room to do other things. It's like what I felt when listening to it.
That's cool, man.
I don't know if that was intentional at all, but
no, I mean it is, because I mean there's 3 guitar players in the band, so there's a lot of room there for that, and it's, I don't know, a lot of it, like me and John grew up listening to a ton of Crust, like a lot of the heavier, like, and it is there, we do have those doom parts in it, but then it'll get in, at least for me, I can't speak for everybody else in the band, but it's always been to be able to write like this really pretty part that sounds gorgeous and there's a lot going on atmospherically and everything, and then just have it crush.
Yeah.
Go from one extreme to the other. And then like back, so it has that dynamic to it, what
yes,
I mean?
Dynamics, absolutely, man. And that's always been key, I think, in a lot of heavy music, is you gotta have some kind of contrast. And I almost like harken back to Led Zeppelin, Dazed and Confused, where they have that real drudgy, slow riff, and then they kick it up later on in the song. That was like kind of a seminal like doom stoner rock sort of tune because it had that like impossibly slow, grinding, grungy riff that then like sped up at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you guys encapsulate some of that stuff, but it's different than anything else I've heard.
Yeah, it's you can hear it like super like what bands influence it. I mean, like His Hero Is Gone, this old crust band that's always been like one of mine and John's favorite bands. But then you have like it sounds more like Pelican or something like that, or the name of the band is ISIS. It's not a reference to
yeah, you hit me to them, man. I've been listening to them a lot.
Yeah, dude, and that band is awesome. Like they're definitely like pretty much everyone in that band. That's one of our favorite bands. We all like a year and a half ago all flew out to LA just for like a weekend.
That big reunion show, right?
Yeah, dude, it was like them, Pelican, Cave-In. It was crazy.
Now, what was the story behind that? Because I told one of my friends about that you had seen ISIS live recently, and he couldn't believe that they had reunited. Like, what was that for?
It was a benefit. I honestly, John could tell you better than me. Like, it was one of the guys from like the Boston scene who had passed away, and they did, I believe, and they did a benefit. It was a benefit for his family.
The family.
Yeah, so they did one in LA and one in Boston. But dude, that was nuts. Like, there were people from all over the country there for that, because that band, like, they haven't played a show in forever.
Right.
Like, but yeah, rad band, dude. Like. And that was a really cool experience to finally see him. I've been listening to him for like 17 years. And I'm like, dude, I've never gotten to see him.
That's so weird when you get into a band and you're like, they're past their touring times. I guess in some instances the band is not together anymore, or the people aren't alive anymore.
Mm.
But when you get into a band, you think, oh, I'm never going to see them live. And then that happens. Like, what was that like to be able to experience that? Did you ever think you would?
Honestly, probably not. Like, because I mean, they were still putting out albums when I got into them, and like I don't know, like you've listened to plenty of it, so they have like a total flow. Like most of their albums, it's just continuous. If you just let the record play, there aren't even like breaks between songs. So yeah, it was, I don't know, I'd call it like euphoric. Honestly, finally being able to see like my favorite band. But no, I realistically didn't think I was ever going to see him.
Now, in terms of, you say like their albums flow one song into the next, were they doing that live, or were they picking songs from different albums? And was it like unusual for you to hear songs lead into different ones?
Well, yeah, they definitely do that. But yeah, because they didn't just play one album, they were doing all kinds of different stuff. But they're generally more like concept albums, that band does. So everything is a theme, like that album Oceanic. I don't know if you've listened to that one. Like, amazing. And it's like, it has that vibe to it, the entire album. But then if you listen to another one of their albums, like it doesn't, they switch it up.
Yeah. And
that's like something we used to do with our old band. It was called Eastwood, and that was me and John and Thompson and Robbie too. And in that, like, we would always write. We've done it a few times for live shows with Sullust, where it's something that we specifically just write to be an intro just for that set. And then we never even play it again. It's just something to have that makes things different. Yeah.
Just a piece for that particular set.
Yeah, and it'll just be a lead in, and we'll pick like whatever song we want to do that into, and just write that, and then we usually don't ever even play it again. We did that at Oddstock last year, actually. We wrote a set intro, and I don't think we've ever played it since. But
that's so cool, man. Like, how do you guys choose that? Is it based on like whatever key you're gonna go into, or is it like a change? Do you change the key, or is it just like what's gonna lead into this song nicely?
Yeah, exactly. It's just more what's gonna flow, and like, cause I'm big into that. Like, I don't like it to be like such a jerky transitions. Like, I want it like you want to hear like that swell, and I just know like, oh shit, here it comes, and like and it just builds up to that. And especially like having 3 guitar players. I mean, it's definitely challenging to write music with 2 guitar players, 2 other guitar players, But it's a lot of that. And I mean, we use a lot of effects. Like, there's a lot of delay and all kind of reverb going on, all kinds of stuff. But it's trying to kind of turn it into that spacey thing and then like pull it back.
So like you said, it's hard to write with 3 guitar players, and I can completely relate because 2 is hard enough. Like, how does that dynamic work? Do you guys like talk about what you're gonna do, or you just get together and jam, and like whoever's playing what, it pieces the song together? Like, is that part of the writing process? Any discussion ahead of time?
Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Generally, we've been trying to do that more just to keep it more focused and everything. But no, there's times where literally we'll just like walk in, like, we talk for a while, but then we'll just plug in and then someone starts playing something and like everyone just kind of comes up with like a lot of it is just improv and like that's where we get the basis for a lot of it.
Sometimes that's the best, that feeling you have in the moment, because it's hard to like capture that if you're trying to remember back.
Right.
When you capture something in the moment, it's like there's something that's making me feel this way that's coming through my fingers or the amp or the guitar or whatever, and like something about capturing that weird little feeling that you have every now and then.
And like everyone contributes. It's an equal part. Like, and Robbie's a guitar player, an amazing guitar player, but even though he's the drummer, he has a ton of influence on the riffs we write too.
So he knows how to follow.
Oh, he's great at it. And then Justin's awesome at bass. But yeah, it's like a lot of the times, one of us will come in and be like, hey, we have this idea for a riff. But by the time we're done writing that song, it's not even close, because everyone has put in their input. And like, it can take a long time. I mean, sometimes it can take us like a month or two to write a song. How
do you guys know when it's done? Is there like a particular like leader who calls like, oh, this is the song? Or you guys are all like a collective? Like, how do you know when a song's ready in that kind of environment?
Actually a good question, because sometimes you're like, dude, how much longer are we gonna keep working on this before? Like, I think it's just got to be a general consensus that everyone's happy with it, because if someone's not, then it's like, no, we gotta still go back and work on this. And so that's a tough one to answer though, honestly, because sometimes you're like, you always feel like there is something else you could add in. I guess it's knowing when you're too far up your own ass, you know what I mean? Like, after a while, you gotta just stop and be like, okay, that sounds good.
It's like the ego versus the collective democracy of the band.
Well, and luckily, we're all super good friends, and like we've been playing together for a long time. Like, me and John for like, Jesus Christ, more than half my life we've been playing together.
Oh, wow.
Thompson for like 10 years now. Robbie's been playing with us forever, so...
Do you get that feeling like when you're playing with the band that you kind of like know how each other think?
Oh, definitely, yeah. That's definitely part of it, because you can anticipate what that person's gonna do. Especially like with me and John, and like now we have that with Thompson too. Now that he's been playing with us that long, like it is that like if you start playing here, more or less what they're probably gonna do.
Yeah.
And so it is just like a seamless process and transition into those sorts of things. It's pretty rad.
Well, that's great, because then like the end result product is something that like everybody's contributing to. It's like its own like ecosystem organism sort of, as opposed to like, here's the song I wrote, learn it.
Yeah.
Play it. I'm going to James Brown fine you if you don't play the part right. We got some thunder there.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
There's some doomy thunder. How fitting.
Yeah, right?
Let's cheers to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cheers to
man.
the thunder.
But yeah, no, that's what's cool about it, like, because we all listen to the same kind of stuff, and we, basically we know what we want. There are times where it's like, yeah, this song, needs to have a vision, because otherwise sometimes it just turns into, like, one of us spacing out playing delay stuff. It's probably me most of the time, but, like, keeping that continuity. But what's good about it is, even though it does take us a long time, like, even that album... I think it took like 2 years to write it.
Really?
And it's like, it's like a year and a half.
It's a great listen, man. It flows very nicely. It's like like pleasant music to listen to, but it's also got that hard edge that I like. So it's like, it really does hit a lot of points that I personally think are valuable in music.
Yeah, cool, man.
And I had a question, because it's always a question in my mind when a band makes this choice, like, why the only instrumental? Because it's probably hard. Maybe it's not, but to when you talk about themes and concept albums, to do that without any lyrics, like, is that challenging? Like, why was the choice to be instrumental?
Well, I prefer it with this kind of music when it's this sort of stuff. Like, we've talked about having maybe like, like a female backing singer for like certain points, or maybe have someone do like one little part.
Kind of like layering something in that's not like the main.
Because it's more though, like, that's another thing in the mix that, like, honestly, it's kind of, you have to view it the same way as another instrument.
Yeah.
And I think, like, for me, I know I wanted to do instrumental only, like, pretty much we all did, because I feel like you have to write a song differently when you have lyrics to it. You have to allow those spaces for the singer to do their verses and do all that stuff. Whereas doing it instrumental only, you don't need to worry about that. So it's kind of less formulaic. It gives you more freedom, in my opinion, with the songwriting. And like it's just more about that, and it's yeah, more is left up to interpretation. Like for someone who listens to it, it's like, hey, you don't really know what our vibe is and where we're coming from with it, but I mean, I kind of like that because then the listener can just, it means what it does to them. You know, it doesn't necessarily need to mean the same thing to them as it does to me.
No.
You know, but like, and that's what I like about it. Like, I guess it's like that ambiguity.
Yeah, and if you consider like historically of humans, the most enduring form of music has been like classical music.
Yeah, which is
You
also
know,
like one of my favorite
all
kinds
instrumental.
of music. Yeah.
And it's like lyrical music has kind of been like a relatively novel thing in terms of like having this like pop song format. It's like pretty new if you consider the history of music, and the music that has endured centuries has been instrumental stuff.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, and if you think about it too, like that's something metal has a ton in common with classical music. Like if you actually listen to them, I mean, like listen to Beethoven's Fifth Symphony or Night on Bald Mountain. Like Night on Bald Mountain, dude, that's a metal song.
Yeah.
Like, but it just now it's if you play that.
Yngwie Malmsteen did that.
Yeah, dude.
So.
Like that's what I'm saying because it is more structured. Whereas that's not necessarily what we do, but most metal is. It's structured. It's not freeform like jazz or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's like no, it is much more like that.
Very precise. You ever heard of that band called Atheist?
Actually, no. I haven't listened to
I'll
them,
show it to you later.
Yeah.
But they're like technical death metal, and like it blew my mind when I first heard them. I think their first album was like '89 or something like that, and it's like when you hear how they move through these different time signatures and changes, I'm like, how does everybody know what's going on? Like,
oh, dude.
How the hell do you guys know what's going on in Sullust when you're playing these songs live? Like they seem like these spontaneous jams when I'm hearing the record, but it's obviously not. Like, how the hell do you know where you are without a vocal cue?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, you listen to the other cues, like the drummer will change the beat on the last one before it's time to switch, or like I can hear like something John or Thompson's playing where you know it. But yeah, it's just the vibe of it and the feel. Like you just feel it. Like I don't know, and we're all pretty in tune, so generally we can nail it. You know, sometimes we don't, but.
Do you ever have to like map the song out like for what's happening in each part? Like, how do you guys like write instrumental songs and like, know where you all are? Like, is there any written down version of it? Like, knowing, like, here's this part, here's that part, here's that part? Or you...
A little bit. Not that much of that, to be honest. More of it is just, like, in your head.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, we have a whiteboard. We'll break out and write down, like, how many times we're playing this part before it switches to this. And, like, that's where it gets a little ridiculous. Like, it is tough sometimes, because we also like to write things that aren't just, like, you play this 4 times and then this 4 times,
yeah.
You know? It's like, okay, like... And actually, we get kind of ridiculous with it sometimes. But it'll be like, okay, we're going to play this part 3 times. Then, like, you're going to kick onto that second gain stage to like, thicken it up a little bit. Then we're going to play this part once. Then we're, like, me and John are going to stop. And, like, Justin and Thompson and Robbie are going to play. And then we're going to come in with this part over it. Like, it gets a little bit ridiculous sometimes. But...
Do you, like, label them, like, A, B, C, D? Or is like, this is the part that makes me think about this. This is the part that makes me think about that. Are there, like, names for the parts of the song?
No, not
like,
really.
This is the funky troll part.
Oh, that would be sick. Maybe we should start doing that. But no, usually not. It's just kind of like...
So you guys really got to know each other.
Yeah. And it's like, I might not necessarily know exactly what the riff there is. Because, oh, dude, that's happened so many times where I'll be like, dude, this is the riff. And they're like, yeah, that's not what I'm playing, bro. Because, like, if you have 3 guitar players, why the hell would everyone... Unless we're playing something really heavy, like, we're never playing the same thing. Or or we're playing, like, different variations of it to have, like, a layered sound, you know?
Right, so you're building on, like, there's a core here, and you can kind of, like, veer out from that core and come back into it.
Yeah, right. And like, well, there's also like me and Thompson both play guitars with humbuckers, whereas John plays one with single coils to have like
so it cuts through a little more.
Yeah, so he's got more of a cut to his sound, and you know, so everyone has their own tone, which is cool. Which, yeah, geez, you get into that. I mean, we've all spent a ludicrous amount of money on stuff.
Well, speaking of which, man, I heard during this unfortunate quarantine period, you got a new hobby, right?
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, I built myself a new guitar.
So how did you come upon that? We've got actually like a little bit of a prop here. You brought an artifact, not artifact, but a real article here.
Yeah.
Of a guitar that you built, and I'm pretty much dumbfounded that you built this thing. Let's show it to the camera.
Thanks, man.
What did you do here?
But yeah, I mean, well, first off, a ridiculous amount of money on power tools and stuff, but
man, that thing looks beautiful.
Thanks, man.
So like, how did you get like those stripes in there? The first thing that grabbed me, like, there's these stripes of a different kind of wood. That's not one piece wood?
No. This is that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6. So like you have to glue the whole thing together first. This way, just for this top layer. Then for the poplar that's on the back, you have to glue that 2 pieces of board together, let them dry like overnight. Then you stack them together to glue them together like this.
So you make like, is it like a square plank at first? That's all those woods like sandwiched together?
Yeah. Just, they call it a body blank. But yeah, and you make that. It's basically just a square, like a rectangle that's a little bit larger than the shape you're gonna cut out. Then you trace on the shape, cut it out, and then it's all using a router. Pretty much, you use a router a lot.
So how do you know like what types of wood to use? Like, is this stuff like common knowledge you can look up? Like, how do you know what the poplar for the back, or whatever's on the front?
Well, right, yeah. I mean, this is Babinga, and these stripes are ash. Which Babinga is not something they would normally make a guitar out of. This is like ridiculously hard, like exotic wood. Which we went to the lumber mill that's down by our house in Woodbury, and he had he had a board of this, and like me and Robbie were like, holy crap, we want that.
Because of the way it looked?
Yeah, just because, I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, like the grain on it and everything. Honestly, I use poplar. But basically, if you just look up like what wood they typically make guitar out of, it's usually like alder, ash, poplar, mahogany.
Is that for the tonal qualities, or because it's easy to work with?
Definitely more for the tonal quality. I mean, poplar is super easy to work with because it's softer. Babinga, no, it's way harder to work with. Like, very hard wood.
So when you make the blank that's those woods sandwiched together, do you have to cut it differently for the different hardnesses because it's like 2 pieces that are different from each other, or no?
No, not necessarily. I mean, the thickness is different on the 2 of these. Like, this is 3/4 of an inch and this is an inch. But that was more just for weight reasons, because this wood the Babinga is extremely dense and heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was telling you before, when I got here, I was going to use ash on the back of it, but it would have been way too heavy.
Yeah.
I guess literally the guitar probably would have weighed like 11 pounds if I did that.
Yeah.
And like this one's, it's funny because I was like, show this to people and they're like, man, this thing's heavy. And I'm like, yeah, you should pick up the guitar I normally play.
What do you normally play?
It's an old West tone, but that one it's a solid mahogany guitar. I mean, that one's like, it's just as heavy as like a Les Paul, if not heavier.
Yeah, take a scoot up a little bit.
Oh yeah,
dude, that's a beautiful guitar. Like I'm very impressed that like you made that and like knew how to, shape it all. Like, did you have to get like a template in order to make the shape right? Like, how do you know how to do that?
Yeah. For that part, I bought a template off eBay. And that just has the shape of the guitar and everything. And then you get a different template for the pickup cavities and stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a lot of templates. And then you use the router bits that have the bearing that you roll along the template and cut it on there. But
so do you have to like draw out the guitar that you want to make before you go into the process of actually doing it? Do you have to have like a schematic for like where everything's going to fit, or is it?
Yeah, you do, kind of. I mean, you can measure it out after. Like, for the pickups, it doesn't really matter. Like, the distance, that's going to be all preference and stuff. Mm-hmm. The bridge has to be, like, precise with the length from, like, the nut on the neck down to where the string saddles are, because otherwise you won't have the right scale, and it won't intonate properly.
Okay.
So that part has to be, like, pretty spot on.
And you bought the neck separately, because neck making, I understand, is a completely different discipline. That's, like, a very scientific world.
Yeah, that part, like, I want to learn how to do it. I haven't yet. Yeah. I've tried. I've been close. Not quite right just yet, but I'm getting there.
So you knew what the neck scale was going to be, and then you can plan the body off of that and pickup placement. What does it matter where the pickups are?
Just really how much different they sound. Because if they're too close together, you're not going to get anywhere near as much of a difference. And like I intentionally like put one pickup a little further from the bridge, so it's not as tinny sounding. When you play the bridge pickup, it's got like way more of a bottom end to it.
Because you play kind of heavier style music, so you don't want something that's going to be too thin on the bridge position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't want something that was going to be as trebly, So.
Is there like much difference in terms of how deep the pickup is sunk into the body? Like how close or far it is from the strings?
Yeah. I mean, because otherwise, if it's too far away, it's not going to be loud enough. If it's too close, you're going to get like it's going to pick up weird stuff and more noise and stuff like that. But.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard sometimes like the magnetism of the pickup can actually like pull the string closer if it's too close, because there's the pickups are a magnet, right?
Yeah.
And it can actually like pull the string if it's like too close up to there.
Yeah, that. I mean, and even like when I did the wiring, I didn't know until I built this guitar that there's a ground wire that goes to the bridge too, because you have to ground the bridge as well. It's like I didn't even know that until I built one.
What do you mean, like differently from the neck pickup? You have to ground the bridge pickup differently, or you mean in general?
No, not the pickup. The actual bridge has to have a wire going to all the grounds where you wire it. I had no clue about that.
Like, you mean like from the input where you plug it in, or just?
Oh no, like literally, like it's got a where this bridge is sitting in the top here. There's a wire that when you screw this down, that wire is touching and going into the cavity.
Oh.
And then grounded to one of the pots.
That's so you don't get electrocuted.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, because I don't know if you've ever played a guitar and gotten zapped through the strings. Oh, yeah, that's.
Whoa. Tipping. Yeah, that's not the best stand. Sorry, man.
That's all good, dude.
Should have warned you about it. It's got a gangsta lean on that stand. I don't want to
be good.
Wreck your pride and joy there. That's crazy, man. It's like build your own instrument and play it. Like, what was that experience like? Because I've only ever bought an instrument. I mean, there's one guitar that I had that broke, and I found another one on eBay that was the same model and had somebody else put the pickups and like set it up. But like building your own guitar,
dude, it's honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty satisfying. Like the night when I finally got done wiring, like solder, which it's easier to honestly, like, I don't know if you've ever dropped a different pickup in a guitar, but like,
yeah,
that's honestly kind of more of a pain sometimes because you're already dealing with like however someone else had already wired that thing.
Oh.
But dude, yeah, when I was done wiring it and everything and I plugged it in and just turned my amp on and I was like, ooh, like, I'm like, this really happened. Like,
what was the first thing you played? Do you remember? Just like, no, like.
I don't remember exactly. I think it was just some heavy thing I was messing around playing. It wasn't any specific
Panama
song.
by Van Halen.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue.
Why not?
Yeah, right.
Got to make the story official. But dude, that's so cool. Like you built your own guitar. Like that's I would love to do that someday.
Yeah, dude. And we're gonna be doing one for John and for Thompson too. So we'll all be playing like custom built guitars.
And in the way that you know the style of music that you play, did that influence how you wanted to make your guitar? Like, did you want to have like a dark, heavy sound, or did you not even consider that when you were building it?
Oh yeah, no, that was definitely part of it. I mean, I intentionally like this. I mean, this one's like obviously Fender style, so it's a 25.5-inch scale. So it plays different. Like I usually play like a Gibson style guitar that's 24 3/4. With like super loose strings and like super low action. That's what I'm usually used to doing. But this time I was like, well, if I'm going to spend all this time building a guitar, I don't want to build it exactly like the one I've already been playing, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, this one, like the strings are a little tighter, but doesn't buzz anywhere. Like, and they do have a different sound, especially like my other one has a rosewood fingerboard on it. Whereas this is canary is actually the wood this neck's made out of, but it sounds kind of more like a maple one. So it's got like a punchier sound to it.
And you were saying that when you first were playing with the band, like your sustain was like
highly
noticeable, just like sang out.
Oh yeah, Justin's gonna get mad if he watches this, but yeah, he's always like, listen to the sustain, because he's got this ridiculous, like his bass is like a $3,000 bass. Like the thing's amazing. And it does have crazy sustain on it. But yeah, I literally plugged that thing in and it was like, oh yeah, Justin, check this out. And it was just like, and I just sat there looking at him. He was so pissed.
It makes you think of Spinal Tap when he's like, you hear the sustain? He's like, you're not playing it. Well, if I were, you would hear it.
Yeah, right.
You can have a bite and you'd still be hearing that one.
I'm simply asking for larger bread. That's all. I love that. I haven't seen that movie in a while.
Dude, oh man, you can go for ages on that. To be honest, the first time I saw it, I was like depressed. Because I was very into like the 80s metal stuff. Like I was a sheltered kid and like thought that like Def Leppard was still a cool band when I was in high school because I saw them behind the music and like the Motley Crue and all that stuff. And I saw Spinal Tap. I'm like, these guys are just like cool rock stars and they're like getting like a bad shake because they're playing for a puppet show. I'm like, this is so depressing. That was like so sad.
I love the part with Stonehenge where they lower it down and it's just this tiny little thing. He's like, have you ever seen Stonehenge? It's rather grand.
Making a big deal would have been a good thing.
Yeah. great, man.
Apparently that happened to like Black Sabbath, but like the opposite way, where they built it like too large, and they couldn't even like fit it into the stadium or whatever they were playing at.
That's amazing. I didn't hear about that. That's
I heard they like cherry picked that from an actual like Black Sabbath thing.
But yeah, I mean they're totally making fun of like Iron Maiden and all that stuff. Like,
but it's so easy. As I said, metal is like WWF of music.
Dude,
it's like got that, like you can so shoot down Iron Maiden, but if you see them live, you're like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Bruce Dickinson is like running around the stage, waving flags, singing perfectly operatic. Like, how does he do that?
Or like,
but it's goofy.
Or like, if you've ever listened to the Viking, like literally they're a Viking metal band named Amon Amarth. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Yeah.
And I'm a total dork with like Lord of the Rings and stuff. Like, I've read
Me
those
too,
books.
man.
Yeah, dude. And like, I just saw it one day in a record store. I was in there with my buddy, and I was like, "Yo, their name is Amon Amarth." I was like, that means Mount Doom in Elvish. So I'm like, I want to listen to that.
So does Burzum means the blackness, right?
Yeah, dude. Oh, there's a ton of Gorgoroth.
Yeah,
that's from that too. Yep. There's a bunch of them. But any of those guys, the last time I saw Amon Amarth, the dudes like they literally have a prop of a Viking ship on the stage, and he's like on the mast.
Is it the Kon-Tiki?
I don't know. I mean, if you see their bigger like shows that they play in Europe, they'll literally have dudes dressed up as like knights and Vikings fighting each other on the stage and stuff.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious. I think it's awesome.
But I love the spectacle that metal brings, you know, because like isn't that half the reason we want to go to see a show? It's like be entertained.
Yeah, right.
And,
You're
like,
going there to see a show. It's not, so that's what's cool about it. Like sometimes it gets a little overboard, but like, whatever, it will with anything.
Someone's got to go across the line to where you know where the line is.
Yeah, but that's also, with black metal, it's the corpse paint and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a thing.
Okay, you can't convince your friend to commit suicide, then eat his brain. Sorry, Mayhem, you went a little too far there.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect example. Yeah, just went a little too far. Yeah, like...
Then you have bands like, I won't say the name, but AC. I'm sure you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I'll see you next Tuesday. Where it's like, it's just so offensively extreme that it's like for the point of like, did they really cross the line? It's like, yes, they did.
Yeah, dude.
And it sounds like somebody like gurgling and choking, but for some reason it's so interesting to hear. I'm like, who goes further than that?
Yeah, dude. Or like, I don't know, the band Nile. Like, they're just straight up Egyptian themed death metal band. Like it's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that stuff. It's totally ridiculous, but it's awesome.
And I think that might be like part of it that if you're not, I don't want to say like indoctrinated, but like not like experienced with it, you can look from the outside and like think it's true. Or think that people take it seriously. They're like, yeah, we're really like worshiping Satan. It's like, really? Then why aren't you all committing suicide and like self-sacrifice? Right. Like, obviously they're not.
Yeah, so it's like even if you watch like an interview with Tom Araya from Slayer, that dude's usually just like laughing and smiling the whole time. He's just like a total laid back dude. You're like,
it's like one of the most misunderstood genres because it has this very like shock value performance, but it is meant to do that. Like they're trying to make you like, oh my goodness, I can't believe they're doing that. And like, that's the part of it. And if you're in on the joke, you're like, oh, I can't believe they did that. That's awesome, man. It's so cool.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's like more, I feel like the American view. Like you have like, the European view with like the Swedish black metal and Norwegian black metal. That's a whole different thing. Like,
oh yeah.
Well, that dude from Burzum, like
Varg Vikernes.
Yeah, I think it was Varg who had it. No, maybe it wasn't Varg. I think it was the dude. What was I can't even.
Euronymous, who was the guitar player in Mayhem, or no?
No, not Euronymous, but one of those dudes. I think it was like the rival dudes of Mayhem, like the guy killed.
Yeah.
But he had a record shop, and like they literally were trying to just have it, so you had to like shop by torch because it was so dark in the record shop.
What?
Because that had to be metal. I'm like, this is absurd. Like, it's kind of hilarious, but
yeah, they actually like believed it a little too far.
Yeah.
That's like the cult aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
You can see some people take it too seriously, but man, how much has been done in the name of Christianity that's just as bad? So
oh god, yeah.
Can we really fault a few weird Norwegians?
Yeah, right. Yeah, cause otherwise, yeah.
So, man, we got very deep on the black metal stuff, but what's going on with Sullust? What's the next move here? Are you guys gonna do any recording stuff? Any shows coming up soon?
Unfortunately, no shows. With what's going on, I think it's gonna be a while. We were bummed to cancel Oddstock because we were psyched to play that again this year. But yeah, nothing right now. Like anything that we were talking about has been shut. Put the kibosh on that for now.
Yeah.
we've been taking a little bit of a break because we had, a couple, like Robbie had some stuff go on, and he's, we're taking a break for probably about the past month and a half, actually.
Yeah. Everyone had to a certain extent,
Yeah, and just with all the crap with the pandemic and everything, but
yeah,
we're working on a lot of new stuff right now. I mean, I think we have at least 5 new songs, like, so we're like pretty close to being done with a second album. So
oh sweet.
Yeah, and so I mean, we're gonna get back to work this weekend on that, and then hopefully be recording that. Like we were saying, probably by September we want to start recording the new album, and then at least we'll have it online now.
Yeah.
And then we've been throwing around the idea of doing something at the studio with like us in the refectory and just do it like streaming a show from
Yeah,
there.
you should, man. Do like a live in the studio thing. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. We've been talking about stuff like that, but unfortunately, dude, with all this going on, it's like...
Yeah, nobody knows. It kind of makes music kind of take a look at itself. Like, what can we do to, like, transcend this very necessary block that's been placed upon public, gatherings and things. Obviously, we know the reason that it has happened, and it is necessary. But it then challenges us creatively, like, how can we do something else? So, like, an in-studio thing, that would be amazing, to do a live in-studio thing. Like, why not?
Yeah. So we've been talking about different ways we might go about doing that. Because otherwise, like, it sucks, man. I was just talking about it the other day, too. I'm like, I hope these venues can sustain this, because a lot of the smaller venues in Connecticut, like, are probably going to close, unfortunately.
Yeah, we don't want to see that go away.
Nah, man.
But you never know. Something will come out of the ashes, as things do in human life. Things go down and come back up. So there might be something new that comes up. But you don't want to see any venues go away. And that's that's an unfortunate part of the business that's being threatened right now. But yeah, man, that's good that you guys are writing stuff. You might have some new stuff out, like, and I like the idea of that in the studio show. So right now you got the album that's out on Spotify, and where else can people find the Sullust album?
It should be on like YouTube Music, even like iHeartRadio, and a few other streaming services too. So if you look around for it online, you'll find it. But...
And any kind of like online ways people can check you out if they want to like keep track of the band, see what's going on. Do you guys do like Facebook, Instagram, or anything like that?
Yeah. I honestly, I deleted. Well, I didn't delete my profile, but I just don't even look at Facebook.
Yeah,
I'm like terrible with that. But
I'm not the best either, so
yeah.
I can.
We do have an Instagram, and like once we get back to jamming again, we usually throw up clips from our practices just on there, like so if people want to check out anything we're working on, they can, that kind of thing.
Okay, and was it like Sullust band, or what was it?
Sullust_Connecticut.
Okay.
Because there's actually some DJ from like Detroit or Chicago or something whose name is Sullust. And then we were looking at it, I'm like, I mean, it is an obscure Star Wars reference, so I'm like, I'm not surprised someone else had that name. From? Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's from again, total dork. But if you watch Return of the Jedi, when the Emperor is talking to Darth Vader, and Darth Vader asks him, "What of the Rebel fleet massing near Sullust?" And that's what it's from.
Just one line in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even know that, man.
Yeah, that's what it's from.
Well, cool. So people check out Sullust online. You can check out their current album that's on Spotify. There might be some more stuff coming out. Hopefully a live in the studio jam. I'd love to see that. Thank you so much for coming out here and for talking to us. I appreciate it. It's not too often I get to nerd out about metal, so thank you for humoring me.
Oh yeah, right on, man, dude. Thanks for having me. It's been it's fun.
Any final things you want to say about just like maybe music in general, like what final words to leave people with that you think are important about music or life? I don't know. Anything?
I mean, I don't think I'm one to be giving life advice, but
fair enough.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as music, like, I don't know, for me personally, like my whole philosophy with it has always been like, doesn't even matter, because it's not like I just listen to metal. I listen to a ton of different kinds of music, but for me, it's like if it evokes something from me, it makes me feel something, that's what I want in music.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what's important about it.
What better way to leave it? I'm going to chime us out. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Love you all. Thanks for listening, watching, etc. See you later. Bye.